After I came home from surgery, and my mother-in-law set a basket of laundry on my lap and said, "If you want to stay, you work." My husband ate without moving. I folded until my hands shook. Then months later, when she needed help, I opened the door with one condition written on a card that began, I, 32 female, had surgery last year. Not cosmetic, not optional, medical. I won't say what kind of surgery because that's not the point, but it was serious. I was in the hospital overnight, then sent home with instructions to rest for at least 2 weeks. No lifting, no housework, no stress. My husband, 34 male, picked me up the next morning and drove me home. I thought I was going to be able to rest and recover. I was wrong. We live with his mother. It was supposed to be temporary. We moved in during COVID after I lost my job, and even though I found work again, we never moved back out. His mother owns the house, and she likes control. I knew she didn't like me. I just didn't know how deep it went until I came home that day. I could barely walk. I was still foggy from the anesthesia. My body ached everywhere, and I just wanted to lie down. As soon as I stepped inside, before I even took off my shoes, she came around the corner holding a full basket of laundry. She looked me in the eye, dropped it on my lap like I was a table, and said, "If you want to stay, you work." I thought she was joking. I waited for her to laugh. She didn't. I looked at my husband. He sat down at the kitchen table and started eating. Didn't even glance at me. Didn't say a word. Just ate. I don't remember sitting down. I just remember folding. Towels. His shirts. Her underwear. My hands were shaking. I hadn't eaten all day. I felt like I was going to pass out, but I kept folding. Because if I didn't, I thought I'd start screaming. And no one in that house wanted to hear me scream. Later that night, I cried in the bathroom with the fan on so they wouldn't hear. My stitches were sore. I hadn't taken my pain meds. I was afraid they'd say I was being dramatic. I sat on the floor for a long time. Then I went to bed without saying goodnight. No one checked on me. Over the next few weeks, I healed. Slowly. I was careful. I didn't complain. I kept doing chores, even though I wasn't supposed to. My husband never told her to stop treating me like that. He never told her to back off. He just blended in. If I didn't do something, it didn't get done. If I asked for help, I was lazy. I started keeping track. Not just of what she said, but of what he didn't. There were days she'd say things like, "Some women enjoy taking care of their homes," when I was scrubbing the kitchen. Or, "You sure you're not milking it?" If I moved slowly. He'd be in the room. Every time. Not once did he defend me. At some point, I stopped trying to get him to. Instead, I got quiet. I kept my head down, and I started making plans. 4 months after the surgery, she fell in the shower and broke her arm. It wasn't serious, but she couldn't cook or clean or drive. Suddenly, she needed help. That's when the text started. From her. "Can you come by? I need help with meals." From him. "She can't do much with one arm. We need to pitch in." We. Funny how it was we now. I ignored them for a few days. Then on a Saturday morning, I got in my car and drove to the house. I brought a card with me. White envelope. Blue ink. I wrote it the night before. I knocked on the door. She opened it a few seconds later. Same house. Same woman. Her arm in a sling. She looked surprised. "Oh, you came." I handed her the card without saying anything. She opened it and started reading. It said, "If you want to stay, you listen. I am not your maid. I am not your nurse. I am not your family. I will help you, but only if you treat me like a human being. No orders. No insults. The first time you talk down to me, I walk. And I won't come back. Your son watched me bleed and didn't move. I owe you nothing. This is your one chance." She didn't say anything for a long time. Just looked at me with that same expression she always had when she was deciding whether I was worth the trouble. I looked her in the eye. Not scared this time. Not tired. Just done. She stepped aside, and I walked in. I made her lunch. I helped her change her bedding. I made sure she took her medication. I didn't smile. I didn't joke. I didn't ask about her arm. I stayed 2 hours. Then I left. The next time she texted, I didn't answer right away. I haven't told my husband everything yet, but I will. I started going over once a week. Only when I had time. Only on my terms. I never stayed long. I kept it business. Groceries. Medication. Light cleaning. If she said thank you, it always sounded like she'd swallowed something sour. She never mentioned the card. She didn't dare. I could feel the shift though. She didn't bark orders anymore. She asked, gritted teeth, clipped tone, but she asked. She never looked comfortable when I was in the house. Good. I wasn't comfortable for months under her roof. Let her sit in it. My husband started noticing. He asked me why I was being cold. I asked him when he started caring about temperature. He didn't like that. He started pushing harder. You should go over more often. She's still recovering. She says you've been kind of distant. She's your family too. That's when I left. Hard. First time in a long time. No, she's not. He didn't like that either. A week later, I came by, and the front door was unlocked. That was strange. She never leaves it unlocked. She's paranoid about neighbors. I stepped in, and the living room was a mess. Papers on the floor, the phone off the hook, a plate shattered near the kitchen. She was on the floor. She had slipped again. She looked up at me, pale and angry, but not hurt, just stuck. She tried to speak, but I walked over in silence and helped her up without a word. I set her in the chair and started to clean. I called him, she said suddenly. He said he was busy. I paused, broom in hand. Of course he did, I said. She looked at me like she wanted to say something else, then didn't. That silence stayed in the room for a long time. Later that week, he came home angry. Why didn't you tell me she fell? I shrugged. She's fine. She told you. She's your elder. She's family. There it was again. Family. Like it was a magic word I had to bow to. I looked him in the eye and said, where was that energy when I came home from surgery? Where was that urgency when I was bleeding and folding your ing laundry? He got quiet, then defensive, then angry again. I had a lot going on. You know how she is. It wasn't personal. That sentence, that one broke something in me. It wasn't personal. Not personal. Being handed a laundry basket while I was still bruised from the hospital. Not personal. Being made to feel like a burden in my own home. Not personal. Him watching and doing nothing. Not personal. Get out, I said. He blinked. What? You heard me. Go stay with your mother. You're being crazy. I opened the closet, grabbed the small overnight bag I kept packed for emergencies, tossed it on the couch. Go. Or I will. He left that night. Slammed the door hard. Texted me 3 hours later. You'll regret this. She's old. She's trying. You're not the only one who's been through something. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I blocked his number. 3 days later, a woman knocked on my door. Mid-50s. Nice clothes. Tired face. Said she was my mother-in-law's cousin. I'd met her once, at a holiday thing. She asked if we could talk. I didn't answer, just let her in. She sat on the edge of the couch, held her purse in her lap like it might fly away. She told me you've been cruel, she said. I raised an eyebrow. She said you threatened her. That you're using her injury to punish her. That you're tearing the family apart. I let the silence sit. Then I walked to my desk drawer, pulled out the card I had written, the original one, the one I gave her, and handed it to her. She read it slowly. Her face changed. She looked up at me, quiet. Then said, she didn't mention this. I nodded. Of course she didn't. We sat in silence again. Her cousin set the card down gently and said, she was like this to her sister, too. Controlling. Cold. We all just learned to put up with it. I didn't say anything. She always thought she could push people until they broke. Maybe she didn't expect you to push back. She stood to leave. Before walking out, she looked at me again. Do you still want to help her? I stared at her for a moment, then asked, why? What happened? Her answer made my stomach drop. She's trying to rewrite what happened. She's been telling people you pushed her, that you made her fall. And just like that, I realized it wasn't over. It was just starting. After her cousin left, I sat in the kitchen for a long time, staring at nothing. The fridge hummed. My phone buzzed with nothing but junk. I didn't answer. She was telling people I pushed her, that I caused her fall. That changed everything. The next day, I got a text from my old coworker, Jenna. Hey, not sure if this is weird, but your email just tried to add me on Facebook? She messaged me too. Asked if I knew anything about your state of mind. What's going on? My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to Jenna in over a year. She had nothing to do with my personal life. This woman was digging, smearing me, quietly, while still asking for help. I didn't respond. I just blocked my Emile's number, blocked her on socials, and sent Jenna a short reply. She's not well. Please ignore her. Sorry for the weirdness. Jenna understood. But the fact that I had to explain that to anyone, it burned. A few nights later, my husband showed up at the apartment. I didn't let him in. He stood in the hallway, arms crossed, acting calm. Like I owed him that calm. You're not returning her calls. She's freaking out, he said. I know. She's telling people I pushed her. His jaw moved, but he didn't speak right away. Then, the worst part. She didn't mean it literally. I laughed. Loud. I think it startled him. She told people I'm mentally unstable, that I'm a danger to her. She's scared. She should be, I said, because I have everything documented. Dates, messages, photos, the card. I'm not playing anymore. His face changed. You turn this into legal ******. She already did. He didn't say goodbye. He just walked off, fast, like he was late for something. A few days later, I got a call from my boss. She sounded awkward, careful. Hey, everything okay at home? Someone's been calling the office asking questions about your medical history. Claimed to be from a clinic. My stomach clenched. Did they say which clinic? She paused. They gave a fake name, but they asked weird stuff. Like if you'd ever had emotional outbursts at work. I didn't answer. Just thought you should know. I thanked her and hung up, hands shaking. That night, I printed everything. Every text, every message, every photo. I started organizing a folder. Not for revenge. For protection. Because this wasn't just cruelty anymore. It was escalation. 2 days later, I got a voicemail from an unknown number. I saved it. It was her. Maya Mael. She was crying. Or trying to. I don't know why you're doing this. You used to be sweet. Now I don't recognize you. You hurt me. And you act like I should apologize. She ended with, you won't get away with this. I saved that part twice. Then something happened I didn't expect. Her neighbor reached out to me. Hey, not trying to get involved, but I've lived next door to her for 15 years. She's been telling everyone at church you're dangerous. But I saw what happened that day she fell. You helped her. You stayed calm. Asked her if she'd be willing to write that down. She said yes. Her voice was tired. She did this to her brother's wife too. Back in the 90s. Almost got her fired. My skin went cold. This woman was a pattern. This was who she had always been. I just hadn't seen it until I was too deep in. That weekend, I got a knock on my door. It wasn't my husband. It was a man I didn't recognize, mid-40s, tall, quiet. He introduced himself as her lawyer's assistant. Said she was exploring her options for elder harassment. Said I might be hearing from them soon. I didn't invite him in. I didn't say a word. I just handed him a copy of the card. And then I said, tell her I'm not scared. Tell her to be very careful what story she writes, because I kept every receipt. His face changed a little. He nodded and walked away. But I knew something now. She wasn't just trying to ruin my name. She was trying to build a case. I don't know what she's planning next. But I know I'm not folding. The week after the lawyer's assistant came to my door, things went quiet. Too quiet. No texts. No voicemails. No social media digging, at least none that I could see. It felt like the part in a storm where the wind dies down and everything holds its breath. I didn't trust it, so I went back through everything. I started organizing a timeline, laying out every incident, every message, every silent moment that wasn't an accident. I backed everything up: cloud, flash drive, printed copies. I wasn't being paranoid. I was being smart, because I didn't believe for 1 second that she was done. And I was right. A week later, HR at my job pulled me into a meeting. We got a call from someone claiming to be from a state agency, they said. They said you're under investigation for elder abuse. I felt my blood drain. They wouldn't give their name, the HR rep continued, but they said you were emotionally unstable and had a violent outburst toward a family member who is now in physical therapy. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there and let the moment wash over me. Then I said, I know exactly who made that call, and I have proof she's lying. They looked skeptical until I pulled out the folder. I walked them through it, page by page. The card, the texts, the voicemail, the name of the neighbor who saw everything. I showed them the screenshots from my coworker, the blocked number log, the Facebook messages. The HR rep sat back in her chair and said, Jesus.
Exactly.
They told me they'd document everything and keep it on file. I wasn't in trouble. But the fact that it got this far, that she was willing to lie to strangers, to state agencies, just to make me break, that shook me. And it made me wonder how far she'd gone before. How many times she'd lied like this. How many people she'd ruined. I didn't call my husband. I didn't need to. He called me the next day. He sounded calm, rehearsed. She's sick, he said. Mentally, I mean. She's not herself. She's exactly herself, I said. She needs help. And this whole thing, you've made it worse. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I protected her. I made her food. I helped her when you couldn't be bothered to show up. I set one boundary, and now she's trying to destroy my life. And you still can't say she's wrong. He went quiet for a moment. Then he said, she's signing over the house to me, in case something happens. It's what she wants. And just like that, I understood the real game. It was about control, yes, but it was also about money. She was laying the groundwork, spinning stories about how I was unstable, how I'd hurt her, how I didn't care because she planned to cut me out. Legally, financially, permanently. She wanted it on record that I was dangerous. So if anything happened to her and my husband ended up with everything, no one would question it. It wasn't just personal anymore. It was strategic, calculated. I hung up without saying a word. That night, I called her cousin, the one who came to my apartment weeks earlier. She answered on the second ring. I need to ask you something, I said. Did she say anything about the house? About changing the will? Long silence. Then, yes. She said she didn't want you getting your claws on anything. Her words, not mine. Did she say why? She said you were manipulative, that you were working your way into her assets. Honestly, it sounded paranoid, but she was obsessed. I thought she'd let it go. I thanked her and hung up, but I didn't sleep, because it all clicked. She wasn't just trying to ruin me socially. She was laying the foundation for something bigger, something that would make me disappear from the narrative completely. She wanted to leave everything to her son, and she needed to make sure I wouldn't be able to contest it. So she built a case, one cruel moment at a time. And now I had a choice to make: walk away quietly, or tear the whole thing down. And I had no intention of being quiet anymore. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. The way she looked at me that day with the laundry basket. Like I was trash in her hallway. Like I didn't belong in my own body, my own marriage, my own life. And I saw his face too. My husband, sitting at the kitchen table, chewing his food while I folded towels with shaking hands. Not saying a word. It was like they had practiced it. It wasn't just cruelty. It was indifference. And that, more than anything, was what finally pushed me over. So I did something I told myself I wouldn't do. I went back to the house. But I didn't go alone. I brought her neighbor, the one who saw me help her up. I brought copies of all my evidence in a sealed envelope. And I brought a voice recorder in my coat pocket. Legal in my state. I checked. I knocked. She opened the door, surprised to see me. "You shouldn't be here," she said, already annoyed. I smiled. "I know." She started to shut the door, but I stepped in. I was done playing nice. "You've been telling people I pushed you," I said. "You called my job. You contacted my friends. You tried to ruin my life." Her face didn't change, just the smallest twitch in her eye. "I told the truth," she said. "You lost control." "You're not a victim," I said. "You're a liar. And I have proof." I pulled the envelope from my bag and dropped it on the hallway table. "Copies are already with a lawyer," I said. "If you go one step further, if you contact one more person about me, I will press charges for harassment. I will subpoena your medical records. I will sue you for defamation. And I will win." She laughed. A small, dry, awful sound. "You don't have the spine." That's when I hit play on the recorder in my pocket, the one that had been running since she opened the door. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Say that again." She went pale. She tried to backpedal, stammer, make excuses. But the neighbor had already heard enough. She looked disgusted. "I thought you just exaggerated," the neighbor said. "But this is sick." I didn't stay long. I didn't need to. I got what I came for. 2 weeks later, I filed the report. Full timeline. Witness statements. Everything. I didn't even have to go to court, just served her through her lawyer. But the real hit came a month later. She got dropped by her church group. Turned out people did remember how she treated her brother's wife. And now they had new stories to whisper. Her cousin cut ties. Her neighbors stopped waving. And my husband? He showed up at my door again. He looked thin. Tired. Like someone had peeled the color off him. "She's not talking to me anymore," he said. "She said I let her down." I nodded. "You did." He looked at me like he wanted to apologize or cry or crawl inside the past and undo everything. "I didn't know it would go this far," he said. "That's the problem," I replied. "You never know. You never ask. You just sit there while women bleed in front of you." He tried to touch my arm. I stepped back. "You don't get to stand next to me now," I said. "Not after you left me alone with her." He stood there for a while, then left. I haven't seen him since. 3 months later, I sent her a letter. Just one sentence. "You said, if you want to stay, you work. You should have been more careful what you wished for." She lost everything she tried to control. Her reputation, her audience, her power. And me? I didn't come out clean either. I stayed too long. I kept quiet when I should have screamed. I let people teach me I was small. But I'm not small anymore. And I'm not afraid of laundry baskets.